Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call this session of the Stratford Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission meeting of Wednesday, March 15, 2017, 6 p.m. to order. Second item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of February 15, 2017, the public hearing and the regular meeting. I was not here for that, so I can't make a motion, but would someone want to make a motion to approve it? Mr. Tucciarone, a second. Were you here?
A second.
Second, Mr. Waite. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, none, carries. Under old business, I need a motion to take application or violation 2016-7V, conducting a regulated activity, clear cutting within the upland review area of an inland wetland without the benefit of a permit. Site address 350 Whippoorwill Lane, Stratford, Connecticut. Assessor's reference map 50.16, Block 1, Lot 82. The violator is Shayna Wolf. A motion to take that off the table by anyone. Dr. Chess.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Schlager. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Is the violator or a representative here to speak?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the applicant, Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nicholas Owen. I live on 4 Whippoorwill Lane in Stratford. I am 3 homes away from this particular piece of property at 350 Whippoorwill Lane. We are here with hat in hand on bended knee. Mr. Hirsch, who operated the operation of clear cutting, could not be here tonight, and however he is well aware of the problem that he has, and he is, believe me, very remorseful and is willing to do what he needs to do to straighten out the situation. He was issued a cease and desist. He immediately stopped, which is my understanding from Christina, and he came to me and asked me if I could be helpful to him in trying to straighten the situation out and appear before the commission. I told him we would need a professional, and in turn, he has hired Mr. Stuart Sachs, who is well credentialed in this area. Some of you gentlemen and ladies may know him, and at this time I would like to bring Mr. Sachs up, and he can tell you his credentials and briefly explain to you what his charge is, what he has done, and I think you're going to be happy once you hear this next month if you accept this petition this evening.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, staff, good evening. My name is Stuart Sachs. I'm a landscape architect, and as much as Nick would like me to recite a 4-page CV, I will not bore you with a lot of credentials. Suffice to say, I've worked many years both academically, professionally, municipally, and I have been asked by Nick to immediately address the wetland planting and mitigation. However, part of what is needed in this application is engineering work for septic system and stormwater detention, as well as the recourse for any action that the engineer's work will have on mine. However, the engineer was not fully employed and contracted until this last week, both because of weather, snow cover, digging in the ground. I got a lot of comments about not having it ready. He has, however, promised that as this present snow melts, he will be on it and will be able to produce coordination with the health department for the septic system perk tests. I've also asked him to provide drilling for refusal, which is your basic test to probe for depth of rock. He'll need that at the very minimum to figure out what his stormwater percolation rates will be for the chambers. When we have that in order, those two items, the septic system and the stormwater, I'll be probably slightly revising this plan that was submitted. This will all be submitted probably within the next 10 days to Christina, and it will be for the next hearing. Again, I appreciate your consideration on the delay that's been happening.
Thank you. Yeah, well, what we're going to do this evening is basically accept the application to correct the violation. You will have a chance next month to come in with full plans. Did we get any full planting plans or anything like that?
We got the restoration plan,
Okay.
the planting plan, but we still, like Stuart said, we still need stormwater management, septic, best management practices. I want to see a cross-section, if blasting's required,
Now,
a general blasting plan, and a construction narrative with
Yeah,
sequencing.
okay, yeah, because we're going to need detailed information on what you're going to do after restoration and what your plan is for construction, the construction phase. I'm going to suggest to the commissioners that we also make this a public hearing next month, and basically just for information, all right? We're not going to require an impact public hearing for where you have to go into detail in terms of right. So that's what I'm going to ask, and I'll see if the commissioners agree. And I think Tina suggested that we do that as well, because apparently you have a variety of concerned neighbors up there, and it would be to your benefit as well as theirs to speak their concerns, okay? So that's the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One additional comment is that being aware of both the proximity to other houses, I have given Christina information on a product. There's a variety of chemicals that could be used that are inert, non-polluting, and to be used instead of blasting. Whether it's Dexpan or bituminate, these are elements that can do the exact same sort of rock cracking for removal and not cause any problems to adjacent wells, no leaking, no explosion, no transmission of energy to disrupt any groundwater. So we'll be considering that also.
Okay, all right, very good. And if you need more discussion with Tina, she can go over that with you in terms of that.
And just to note, I would need those materials 2 weeks prior to the public hearing, so I have time to distribute them to all the commissioners. So the public hearing would be April 19th, which means I would need the materials 2 weeks ahead of that, so the first Wednesday in April. With that, I would also need the application fee for the project, and then the violation fee will have to be paid as well. And we'll be discussing what that violation fee will be following the rest of the discussion. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Tina. With regard to the violation fee, I'd like you to hold that in abeyance until you hear our presentation and what we intend to do out there. I know that in most cases, violation fees are appropriate based on an egregious act, and I don't believe that this was an egregious act on the part of the applicant. So I would hope that you would hold that up, at least the payment of that violation fee, until you listen to our presentation. And there could be a situation where the commission says we're not going to require a violation fee, or we're going to require a violation fee, or we're going to require you to pay $500 of the $1,000 violation fee. I would hope that the commission would take that into consideration.
Yeah, we will.
We can leave that to discussion.
We will, because I think what's going to play a role in the violation fee is to what extent the violator is going to, correct the issues that we have. So, we're not here to punish people. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to protect the wetlands. So we'll discuss that.
Thank you.
After we hear everything.
Quite frankly, I think you'll be pleased with the plan once it unfolds.
I get a feeling we will too. I do. This gentleman here, are you part of this application? Well, you're not going to speak tonight. This is not a public hearing, okay?
I understand, Mr. Chairman.
Move up to the podium, please.
I'd like to, with all due respect, I've been present at every single meeting for the last several months, since May of last year. The owner of this property, Ms. Wolf, has not attended one of those meetings. I've been here now, this particular meeting, although I've been in discussion with Tina, I just discovered by happenstance looking at the website today. So I don't have all my neighbors with me. My wife was able to join me. My other folks I reached out to, the adjoining landowners at 110 and 160 Butternut. I'd like to, though, say that it sounds to me like, and I know that the commission is well aware of the history of this situation, that notwithstanding Mr. Owen's comments, I know he's new to the matter. This is, in our view, as adjoining landowners, an egregious violation, and I would suggest, I know it's well within the Commission's power, given this landowner's history, to order restoration before, as a demonstration of good faith, before an application is actually considered, because this is a really, and I understand you don't want me to speak. I mean, I could go into this in some detail, and I won't. I respect your...
Well, the way the process works is, it's a combined application and violation that's being presented. And one has to be taken care of before the other one is going to be approved. Okay? So if the violation, and if we're not satisfied with the restoration plan, isn't complete, or we have issues with it, the application isn't going to be approved, all right? It's that simple. And like I say, you and your neighbors are all going to be certified mail contacted.
Thank you.
You could come next month. It's going to be out in the open. The one thing that we want to do is get feedback from abutters and people in the neighborhood.
We appreciate it.
So there's not a problem in that sense.
Great.
Okay.
So just so the record's clear, this will be a public hearing. There's no need for us to get our 25 signatures. We've got it. You've already decreed
No,
this
no,
will be a public
no.
hearing.
If you want to do all your petitioning and everything else, that comes next month.
Right.
And you guys will have ample time to speak your piece, so we could get feedback from you guys.
So there's no need for us to go through that step. You'll hear us in full. at the next hearing.
We'll hear you. And if it gets to the point where we're not satisfied with the applicant's responses, or there's more detail that we're going to require, we'll extend it to the following month. Okay?
Thank you.
We'll keep the public hearing open, all right?
And thank you for your indulgence, allowing me
Yep,
to
no,
speak.
no problem.
And just two
Mr.
quick...
McCandy?
Oh, sorry. Can I just say two quick things? And Mr. Schofield, I didn't reach out to you about this meeting just because I knew the public hearing was going to be at the following meeting, and it's the burden of the applicant to do those appropriate certified mailings to abutting property owners.
Thank you.
And to your point about having the restoration come before the site construction, the development of the site, I thought it was best to tie the two together because in my mind, it would be counterproductive to have them restore the wetland, the upland review area, only to have it disturbed again during the construction process, hence trying to tie everything together. I think it made for a neater application, and it's easier for all of us to kind of comprehend what's going on, seeing it all in one place. And I believe ultimately it'll be best for the maintenance of the wetland, having it done together in sequence rather than doing the restoration first and possibly running the risk of contaminating it again through the construction process.
Will the plans that are due on April 5th be open to public inspection?
During the time of the public hearing, they officially enter the record, and you will be able to see everything that has been entered.
So that's at the hearing, though. There won't be a chance for us to consult with our own
It'll
professionals?
be in my office, and you are
Oh,
more
we
than
will.
welcome.
Okay.
You are more than welcome to, as long as I get them 2 weeks ahead of time,
Mr. Owens already agreed to
fine.
give me a copy. Okay, thank you.
they will be available to you.
That's helpful. Thank you very much for that.
Sorry.
I don't know if this is going to help you any, but we are on a much better legal standing with a permit than we are with a violation if there's a problem. So having a permit in place gives us a much better standing legally.
I understand. No, I understand. Thank you.
I'm saying that, for the neighbor.
Yeah, I get that. No, thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks very much, and sorry to have belabored the
okay.
No
point.
worries.
That's fine. No problem.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, yes, Mr. Wade, go ahead.
I would like to see photographs of the property when the applicant brings in their design for the restoration
Okay.
prior to anything taking place.
Is that possible, Nick?
Sure, certainly.
Okay. Sure. Any other yeah, I'm going to ask the commissioners if they wanted to speak before we make a motion here. Any other questions from the commissioners in terms of the upcoming public hearing? Yes, sir.
Just in response to the question, I can send a couple, maybe a dozen or two photos to Christina. I'll put it up on Dropbox, and you can distribute it to whomever you wish.
Sure, that sounds good.
Yes, Dr. Chess, go ahead.
Are there any before pictures as well, so we can see what the difference is?
I don't have any. I'm not sure if the applicant had any. I think there might have been one from the MLS listing when the property was up for sale, but I'm not sure.
That might come up during the public hearing. Sometimes the neighbors
The
might
neighbors,
have those.
we'll have some photos, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What it looked like before. Yeah.
Because they take pictures of their own property, so
So
that might show up then, so, yeah.
Because that'd be helpful.
Have they been doing any work so far, or they've stopped?
all work
well,
has ceased at this point.
I'm
It is stopped, Mr. Tusserone. There's no work currently being conducted on the property.
Yeah, I would hope so. Is there anything else you want to add? No.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman,
then,
I
do you want to
thank-
add anything at all?
I thank you for your time this time. Until next time.
Yeah, okay, so then I'm going to ask for a motion to accept the combined application of restoration and application for construction. And in that motion, I'm going to ask for that it stipulates that we're going to go to public hearing in our April meeting, strictly for public information, not for significant impact, because it's an upland issue, and Tina doesn't feel that it warrants significant impact. So if somebody would like to make that motion, I would entertain it.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Tucciarone, seconded by Mr. by Mr. Schlager. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none? Thank you. Thank you. See you next month. Okay, under item 4, new business, there is no new business.
Sorry, can I back up one?
Yeah, go right ahead.
second? In terms of the violation, do we want to wait until then, after the public hearing, to make a determination on violation fee?
Yeah,
To talk about it?
that's fine.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you want to, I would have it on the agenda, of course, for public hearing, and then list it as an agenda item, just in case we want to vote on it, okay? We don't have to vote on it
Okay.
that same night. But if everything went smoothly and everybody's happy, it's possible, okay? So that's my only request. Yes?
Excuse me, they're going to have to send some sort of notice to the abutting landowners. There are, and were other parties, if you will, probably were not abutting landowners that spoke at one of our meetings. Is that,
Was that when I was on
I don't
maternity
know.
leave?
I
can't-
guess legally, he only has to send them to the abutting landowners, and he has to put it, there has to be a notice in the paper as well,
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you
for a public hearing?
for the public.
Yeah.
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 Do you recall who was at those meetings?
I don't know if it was in our minutes.
I know he was, and we could find out.
I have a feeling that the people standing at the door may be telling. That's just a wild guess.
No, I believe Mr. McCann's saying that there might have been some people that weren't directly abutting. Yeah, so,
Folks I had with me were all abutting. We're on butternut, and we have at least a little bit of our land does abut. So I'm not,
okay.
At least I don't think anyone else has spoken.
If there's anybody else in your neighborhood that you know of who's not technically abutting but might be interested, feel free to let them know.
Thank you.
That works.
Okay, item 5, staff report.
Staff report. After our last meeting, we had talked about getting a little bit more rigid about going after the violators of inland wetland regulations along Barnum Avenue cutoff, where multiple businesses have debris, vehicles, paint cans stored near the watercourse. So in a first attempt to get out there and start cracking down, I went to 735 Barnum Ave cutoff, which is the property adjacent to the go-kart speedway. And I met with the property owner, and I discussed with him that the vehicles that were back there and all the debris, appliances that were being stored just south of a fence that he had on the property were technically in violation of inland wetlands regulations. He was completely unaware, just because that's what his property had been used for X number of years. Whether he actually knew or not, I don't know. I try to see the best. I'm not sure. So I gave him 2 weeks from the day I met with him, which I believe was March 8th. I gave him 2 weeks from that time to make a good faith effort to start cleaning materials out of that section, most directly adjacent to the wetland. And when I go back in 2 weeks, I want to see that materials have started to be moved. And then within a month, I want everything gone. And I told him that so long as the property is cleaned up to our standards and he doesn't have anything left in violation of the regulations, then there will be no need to proceed with a violation or a violation fee or an order to appear in front of us or anything of that nature. So right now it's just wait and see. I got to see if he's going to make good on his promise to clean the area up. He also did tell me that he is intending to sell the property sometime before the end of April. So I really want to make sure that he has everything cleaned up before the property changes hands. And I also, when the next property owner steps in, I'd like to reach out to them and make them aware from day one what the rules are regarding inland wetlands on their property.
Good. Good. Any other questions about that from anybody? Did you issue any administrative permits at all?
No administrative permits and no notices of violation. So that's that.
Commissioners Forum, anybody want to say anything?
I just have one question for Tina on the cleanup on Barnum Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
You said there's paint cans there and...
Actually, I shouldn't have said for the 735 property. I did see empty paint cans at the 771 where we issued the permit already. There were empty paint cans. They were stored. They weren't on the watercourse. They were offset in a pile of debris.
So there was actually, not that, you'd probably have to look, but what you saw was empty paint cans, nothing full.
Nothing full, no.
Because I'd be concerned if
honestly,
if he's
there
going to
was-
be scrupulous, he'd just dig a hole in the back and dump everything out of the cans and bury it.
Well, that was at 771.
Yeah,
So that's where we know that B&L companies, they
Yeah.
created the whole wetland restoration plan and cleanup plan. I didn't see any paint cans at the 735 property. It was mostly vehicles, appliances, some other construction debris, wood, some metal. But no, nothing that seemed to be leaking in any way into the watercourse. I didn't notice any of that. And I actually checked the watercourse for any sign of a sheen. I didn't see anything. And the good thing about that property is there's another fence between where he has all these materials stored and the watercourse itself. So there's another 25-foot buffer maybe. So there was nothing stored directly on the watercourse or its banks.
So the applicant that's actually purchasing the property for the warehouse,
That's at 771. Mm-hmm.
they don't own that property back there, or they're going to be purchasing that property?
I don't know who's going to be purchasing 735. Don't know. The property owner just said that they were in the works.
Anything else? Yes.
Just a question, is there a plan about addressing all the properties along that border?
I'm going to try and go to them systematically. I didn't see anything egregious from the Speedway in my site inspection on its neighbor, so I don't believe they're really in violation of anything. The next property owner over is Dr. Piper. He doesn't really have anything on the water course because 771 kind of extends behind him. So then the next step's going to be looking at the properties east of 771, which I only think there's one more. And then you're on the other side of the water course where you get to the cemetery and I think maybe Rumors Cafe, which apparently blew up last weekend. Yeah. So I think there's really only that, possibly one more property to take a good look at.
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Anybody? Mr. Cucciarone, second.
Second.
Mr. Chess, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah, at,
I will.
all right.